I'm sorry, mother-in-law, but I've reached my limit.
Huh? What do you mean by limit?
I can no longer provide financial assistance to my unemployed brother-in-law.
The person on the other end of the phone was my daughter's husband. He spoke in an anxious tone as he said those words to me. Unemployed? Financial assistance? What on earth is he talking about? My son is definitely not unemployed. He works diligently, earns his own income, and takes care of me. He's such a filial son. There's no way he would be receiving any kind of financial assistance, and especially not from his sister's husband. To uncover the truth, I called my son. And then, from his mouth, an unbelievable truth was revealed. My name is Ines, and I'm 55 years old. I live alone in an apartment while working part-time at the nearby supermarket. I have a 31-year-old daughter, Valerie, and a 29-year-old son, Vernon. But neither of them lives with me. Valerie got married 5 years ago and is currently living overseas due to her husband's job transfer. As for Vernon, he started a business with a friend 4 years ago and is now running the company as its president. Until 2 years ago, I lived here with my husband, but he passed away due to illness. Since then, I've been living alone in the same apartment where we used to reside. The rent for this house is high. After my husband's death, my income alone was nowhere near enough to cover the expenses. So, how am I managing to continue living here? Well, the credit goes to none other than my son, Vernon. It was 2 years ago when my husband passed away. Up until then, I had been a full-time housewife, and his absence left me overwhelmed with despair. Now, I have to live on my own. First and foremost, I need to find some kind of job. It's not like I have no savings left from what my husband left behind. However, a significant amount of money was spent on medical expenses, leaving me with just a little over $10,000 in remaining funds. I do have some savings from my single days, but even combined with what he left, it's not nearly enough to sustain me in the long run.
Mom, you don't have to worry about anything. I'll take care of the rent for this place.
Huh? What are you talking about, Vernon? The rent for this place is by no means.
This apartment is filled with memories of Dad and Mom, right? It's the room where Dad and I lived happily together after my sister and I became independent.
Well, that may be true, but...
It's okay, Mom. My current job is going pretty well. Paying the rent for this place is no big deal.
But...
Let me take care of you, Mom.
Seeing him like this, all grown up, I couldn't help but feel deeply moved. Thank you, Vernon. To be honest, I was a little worried. From now on, I'll have to manage on my own.
Mom, you don't need to worry about that. I'm here.
You've become so reliable, Vernon. Thank you so much.
It's all good, really. I can finally repay the debt of gratitude for everything you've done for me. If anything, I'm the one who's happy.
At that moment, Vernon handed me an envelope with money, saying,
"This is for your living expenses."
I tried to decline and return it, but he stubbornly refused to take it back. A few days later, the name on the lease for the apartment was changed to Vernon's. Thanks to him, I was able to continue living in this room filled with memories of my husband. Tears welled up in my eyes, touched by my son's kindness. "Hello, Valerie?" "Oh, Mom, I heard from Vernon. You'll be able to keep living in the same apartment, right?
Yes, that's right. Vernon will cover the rent for me.
That's great. I'm sorry, I'm just a housewife, so I can't really help. What are you saying? That doesn't matter at all. Valerie, please support Andres. Valerie's husband, Andres, is quite talented, and he's often entrusted with overseas assignments. Since their marriage, they have been living abroad.
It's been so many years since I last saw them.
But in this day and age, it's easy to communicate through video calls. Thanks to that, I can see my daughter's cheerful face, so I don't feel too lonely. What a convenient world we live in. Just talking to my daughter through video calls and occasionally meeting my son is enough to make me happy.
I feel so proud of my hardworking children.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you for always caring about me. What are you talking about? I'm your daughter, so it's only natural, right?
And you know, my husband was also worried about you.
Huh?
Andres was?
You'll be living alone, right? So he started suggesting that you come here and live with us. Isn't that a good idea?
Oh, really? I'm sorry if I caused you any worry.
It's okay, it's okay. If you and Vernon work the things out well, that's the best.
When did my children become so independent?
They were so small not too long ago. Somehow, the tables have turned, and now I'm the one relying on them. As a parent, I feel a sense of helplessness, but more than that, I'm overjoyed by their growth. 2 years have passed since then. Thanks to my son, I am still living in this apartment. My daughter also calls me occasionally, so I don't feel lonely. I work desperately every day, hoping that someday I could repay them. One day, Vernon, my son, came to visit me after a long time, so we decided to have dinner together. I prepared his favorite food and we had casual conversations. In the midst of that, my son suddenly spoke up.
Hey, Mom, about my sister. Have you heard anything?
Huh? Valerie? I haven't heard anything.
Did something happen?
Well, I don't know much either, but it seems like she's going through a tough time with her current life.
Huh? Really?
But she said on the phone that she's doing well with Andres.
I see. If she's telling you that, then maybe it's true.
Vernon chuckled awkwardly and started eating again. I couldn't help but feel concerned. If my daughter is going through a difficult time, I want to help her. Hey, Vernon, did Valerie say anything to you?
No, it's nothing major. I just heard that she's been going through some difficulties.
I see. Should I do something for her?
No, it's okay, it's okay. I'm there to offer advice, and you can listen to her on the phone occasionally.
I guess so. Vernon took a bite of his food, nodded vigorously, and said,
Mmm.
Seeing his reaction, I decided to leave the matter of my daughter to my son. As for me, whenever I talked to Valerie on the phone, I started asking her if there was anything troubling her. But each time, she'd only say, I'm fine. I felt reassured by her usual tone of voice and didn't think too deeply about it. However, at the time, I still hadn't realized the extent of the serious problems occurring between my daughter and her husband. 1 month later, after finishing my part-time job, I went shopping and returned home. When I checked my smartphone to take a break, I noticed that I had received 7 missed calls.
Huh? That many?
The one who called me 7 times was my daughter's husband, Andres. We rarely talk, usually just to say thanks or check on my daughter's well-being every few months. Why would he call me so many times? Could something have happened to my daughter? Filled with anxiety, I quickly returned the call. Andres answered the phone immediately.
Mother-in-law, please, enough already.
Those were his first words, delivered with a desperate tone. Andres? What on earth is going on?
I'm sorry, but I've reached my limit.
Huh? Your limit?
I can't provide any more financial support to my unemployed brother-in-law.
Unemployed brother-in-law? What is he talking about? Vernon is certainly not unemployed. Feeling a sense of mismatch in the conversation, I asked again. Andre? When you say unemployed brother-in-law, are you referring to Vernon?
Yes, I'm talking about Vernon. Since I don't have his contact information, I reached out to you. Even though Valerie knows, she doesn't listen because she feels sorry for her brother.
I'm sorry. I can't make sense of what you're saying. What exactly are you talking about?
That's why Valerie asked me to do this. Vernon, her brother, is struggling with unemployment, and she asked if we could provide him some financial assistance. I've been sending him $1,000 every month for the past 2 years.
$1,000?
My voice unintentionally grew louder at the amount mentioned.
Vernon asking for a monthly allowance of $1,000? That's absolutely impossible. After all, he's the one even covering my rent. Listen, Andres, I'm sorry, but I don't think Vernon is accepting any allowances from you.
Mother-in-law, what are you talking about? I've been giving Valerie $1,000 every month, and she's been passing it on to Vernon.
But my son is a company president. Do you really think he'd ask you for such an allowance?
Huh? Vernon is the president, not unemployed?
Yes, he's the one who's been paying all the rent for my apartment.
The rent? I thought it was covered by your late husband's inheritance.
No, Vernon is still covering it even now.
Did Valerie tell you otherwise?
Andres fell silent in response to my question. We were both thinking the same thing. A shared truth unfolded before us. Valerie was lying. To uncover the truth, I quickly called Vernon.
Mother, it's been a while.
Vernon, are you in need of money?
Huh? Oh, what's going on all of a sudden? If I were in need of money, there's no way I could even pay for your rent.
Exactly right. So it seems that Valerie...
Wait, did Valerie tell you too? About wanting to borrow money?
Huh?
Even mother?
That means Valerie has already asked Vernon for money. At that point, it became clear that there were inconsistencies in the conversation with Andres. Could it be that Valerie is borrowing money from Vernon? But Andres referred to Vernon as an unemployed brother-in-law. Unable to make sense of it all, I informed my son about the exchange I had with Andres.
What's going on? Valerie told me that Andres never gave her any allowances, so she couldn't do anything. That's why I've been sending money every month.
So, Vernon, you've been sending money to Valerie?
Yeah, for about a year and a half now. She asked me to help, so I've been sending her allowances.
A year and a half?
Why would she lie like that?
With each conversation with Vernon, my distrust towards Valerie grew stronger. Along with the complex emotions, my anger reached its peak. What was that girl thinking? lying to her brother and husband to take their money. I had to clarify the truth no matter what. I called Andres again and informed him about my conversation with Vernon. He responded, "I'll hire a private investigator," and hung up the phone. "I have something important to discuss, so I'll temporarily come back home." I received a call from Andres informing me that he would be returning for an important matter. He also requested me to contact Vernon, so it seems that everything has come to light. At the agreed upon time, the intercom buzzed, and my daughter and son-in-law arrived. My daughter, whom I hadn't seen in years, had a radiant smile on her face. On the other hand, Andres directed a cold gaze towards her. After a while, Vernon also arrived. Valerie, caught up in the reunion, was all cheerful. In the midst of the gathering, Vernon was the first to speak up. "Sis, don't you have something to say to us?"
"Something to say? What could it be? Like we are getting along well?"
Valerie laughed heartily, but Vernon's tone grew stronger. "It's not about that."
"Then, what is it? Seriously, what's with the weird atmosphere, even though we finally come home after a long time?"
Sensing our uneasy atmosphere, Valerie started to tinker with her smartphone, visibly irritated. Andres took the phone from her hand and coldly confronted her. "Cut it out already. You've been lying and deceiving us for so long."
"Wait a minute, Andres. What's all this suddenly?"
"Don't play dumb. Pretend to be in financial trouble and making Vernon send you money. You've been using all that money I entrusted to you, right?"
"What are you talking about?"
"Then take a look at this." Andres took an envelope from his bag and spread out numerous photos on the table. As soon as Valerie saw them, her face drained of color. The photos captured moments of her holding hands and kissing a young man. Valerie turned pale and let out a scream. Ignoring her, Andres coldly uttered his words. "Mother-in-law and Vernon, as you can see, Valerie was cheating on me with a younger man while I was working. The guy is still a student with no income, so it seems Valerie was supporting him entirely." The reality surpassed my wildest imagination, leaving me not just angry but also incredulous. I instinctively lowered my head and apologized to Andres. "Andres, I'm truly sorry for my daughter's actions." "No, it's not your fault, mother-in-law. However, given the circumstances, I will proceed with divorcing your daughter."
"Yes, I understand. That's fine."
Without hesitation, I accepted the divorce. Valerie widened her eyes and confronted me.
"Wait, Mom, what are you saying? Help me, please. If things continue like this, I really get divorced."
"Help you? What are you talking about? After deceiving your husband and brother-in-law, extorting money from them, and engaging in infidelity? How audacious!"
"Mom, why? Aren't you supposed to be on my side?"
Valerie's face contorted and she reached out her hand to me. I firmly slapped her hand away and stared her down. "Cut it out. I have believed in you all this time. I thought you had grown into a fine person, and it genuinely made me happy. Even though we were far apart in a foreign country, how thrilled I was to be able to have video calls with you."
"Mom!"
"But you betrayed those feelings. It's not just me. You trampled on Vernon and Andrew's feelings as well. You shamelessly exploited your own family. I am disappointed in a daughter like you."
"Wait, Mom!" I don't want to be called mom by such a despicable person. Cheating with money acquired by using people close to you. How low can you sink?
Mom, wait! It was just a momentary lapse. Please, believe me.
Is that something that can be excused as a momentary lapse? You are no longer my daughter. Do whatever you want, whether it's cheating or anything else. But in return, don't ever claim to be part of this family again. From now on, work diligently and repay every cent you received from Vernon and Andres. Then Valerie clung to her brother Vernon, seeking support.
Say something, Vernon. Defend me, please.
It's impossible, sis. You extorted money for your affair. I can't defend that. You lived a comfortable life with your husband's money, and yet it wasn't enough for you. You had to cheat with other men, especially a student. It's despicable, sis.
Andres joined in, echoing Vernon's words.
Enough, Valerie. It's embarrassing. No matter how much you cling to others, things have changed. There's no one on your side. Accept your defeat and come to terms with it.
How unfair hiring a private investigator.
Huh? Who was the one who drove me to do that? It's unbelievable that you can bring up such a thing while ignoring your own actions.
Andres shouted angrily, startling Valerie.
I can no longer see you as my wife. We are getting a divorce.
Valerie collapsed, holding her head, and fell to her knees. No one approached her or offered any words of comfort as she continued to sob on the floor. Subsequently, as Anders had said, the daughter and son-in-law divorced. Valerie initially resisted the divorce, but the incriminating infidelity photos from the private investigator became decisive evidence, and the divorce was finalized through legal representation. Valerie was demanded to repay approximately $25,000 that she had exploited from Andres over 2 years. Additionally, she still had approximately $20,000 remaining from the $20,000 she had brought from Vernon for 1.5 years, a total of $45,000. Her life, which had been one of elegance as a housewife, underwent a complete transformation. From now on, she would lead a difficult life, struggling to repay her debts. However, I believe that one day she will fully repay everything and truly reflect on her actions. At the time, we will be able to laugh together as a family once again.